everybody, Jules Taylor here to talk to you about my new album called The Siren and the Wordsmith. I have a song on there called If I Were the Devil, and folks have been asking me what this song is about. And, you know, I tend to think of the devil as maybe the most misunderstood literary character that's ever been created. And that kind of tracks if you consider the Bible to be one of the most misinterpreted and misread texts of all time. I mean, there is quite literally no correct way to interpret the Bible, right? It's always left up to personal and spiritual concerns. And I tend to think of Lucifer as maybe the first labor organizer. Think about it in the sense that the devil was the lead angel, and he had all these other angels underneath him, kind of like a shop steward. He just got together and was like, hey guys, we got to get our own fair share here, man. We can't just be working for the man, not retaining our surplus value. And this is exploitation. So he went to God and said, hey, can we get our fair share or some better benefits or some other type of collective request answered? And God just freaked out and like fired him and sent him down to hell, and he stays down there. You know, we're not really encouraged to look at the devil's perspectives as anything worth considering. You know, even when Jesus went out into the forest at night or some shit, like he was tempted by the devil. It wasn't like he had a conversation with the devil. It wasn't like he heard what the devil had to say. He was tempted by the devil, right? My mom was an English teacher, and so I read a lot growing up. And one thing I've read a lot throughout my entire life, I've revisited Dante's Divine Comedy several times. Dante's Divine Comedy, Dante himself is narrating his trip through hell, being guided by the great poet Virgil, who wrote the Iliad. And he comes across the first circle of hell, who has Homer and Horace and a couple other authors of epic poems, and they accept him as the sixth member of their esteemed company. So Dante is kind of calling his shot as he's writing the poem, and he's into like the third or fourth chapter at this point. But it makes me think that, you know, if Mark Twain says like go to heaven for the climate and go to hell for the company, maybe the devil's just a poet. And that's why I said if I were the devil, I'd say I'm not that bad, because I'm a poet and a felon, and that's why I stayed down in hell, man. Because maybe he's just down there with the poets, hanging out, enjoying what he considers to be the nectar of existence. Because, I mean, in a very American sort of way, you know, he declared his own independence in his own domain and establishes his own definitions of freedom and is the master of his own domain. So, and I just think this might be what a conversation with the devil might go like if you were to somehow find yourself in a room with the devil. He might say some things to you like, Eden, it's just a garden, dude. I don't know why everybody wants to be back in. I think he might say something like, you want to go to heaven? Have you seen that place? It's got a big ass gate around it. It's a prison. Maybe the devil would say a few things to make you think. Which is why he says, like, you're free to walk a mile inside a golden barbed wire fence or sit beside the Father and wonder, why did you repent? Because, you know, heaven with its pearly gates, I've never heard of anybody leaving heaven. I mean, heaven could be a sort of cosmic prison. So, anyway, that's what I think a conversation with the devil might be like. He might flip your entire perspective. And in flipping your entire perspective, you might see things in ways you had not seen them before. If
I were the devil, I'd say I'm not that bad, 'cause I'm a poet and I'm a felon. That's why I stay down in hell, man. There's a nest